questions then towards the end. So let us begin. What is angle closure glaucoma? Okay, we've discussed the aqueous-humor dynamics, the production of aqueous through the space between the zonules and the lens. It comes behind through the pupil and is drained. Okay, so if or decreased drainage, then it will lead to intraocular pressure, which can cause a damage in the optic nerve head, which is called as. All right. So what are the structures which constitute the anterior chamber angle? You have the cornea anteriorly and you have the iris posteriorly. So this space in between them is called chamber angle. We'll be discussing about the components separately. And this angle can be visualized on gonioscopy, not on routine slit lamp. So this is the front view of the eye above, if you can see my cursor. And at the limbus, just what lies the angle. Okay, so these are two pictures of the angles being highlighted. Onto your left-hand side, you can see that the iris is lying posterior, the lens is posterior, and there's a nice wide open space between the cornea and the iris. So this is an open angle. Whereas you can see that the lens is pushed anteriorly, which is pushed forwards, and the space between the iris and the cornea is narrowing, leading to angle closure. Okay, so this is a 4-mirror gonioscope. This is how you visualize the angle by this instrument, and the procedure is called as gonioscopy. This is the central view. This is the up, the side view. So here at the periphery, what you see is the angle. All right, here is the angle. So how exactly does it look on a magnified view? This is the lens that has been placed on the cornea. Okay, and this is the pupil, and the brown color is the iris. Now going from anterior to posterior, anteriorly you have a Schwalbe's line. Okay, then you have pigmented area, that is the anterior trabecular meshwork. Then a pigmented area, which is the posterior trabecular meshwork. Then the scleral spur. Then you have the ciliary body, dark brown area. And this peripheral part is the root of the iris. Structures are different. So if they are visible, it is. But if these structures are not visible, and depending upon how many structures are, you can quantify how much the angle is closed. This throughout the PTM or the posterior trabecular meshwork is the main. If this is visible, it is open angle, and if this PTM, the angles are closed functionally. Okay, so how can you quantify angle closure? Basically, on a slit lamp examination, at the periphery of the iris, you shine a slit beam and see the section and gap or the area between them. Okay, if there is no space observed, that means angles are closed. Okay, it's called grade 0 Van Herix. If the space is less than 1/4 thickness, this is the corneal thickness. If the space is less than 1/4 of it, it is 1, which is narrow. If it is equal to 1/4 of the thickness, it is grade 2, that is again narrow. More than 1/4 but less than half is open. And here you can see it is almost more than half. Okay, so this is an open angle. This is an open angle, whereas this angle is closed. Okay, so this is Van Herix grading of angle closure based on slit lamp examination, anterior chamber depth. Again, you can see here, this grade 4 is nice, widely open, grade 2 and grade 1. So in 4, the angle is somewhere around 35 degrees and you can see all the structures. In grade 3, it is somewhere around 25 to 35 degrees. In grade around 20 degrees. In 1, okay, so that was the slit lamp or grading. You can also grade it on gonioscopy depending on how many structures you see. Okay, if seeing all these structures, it is a grade 4 open angle. If you're seeing the Schwalbe's and the trabecular and the scleral spur, then it is a grade 3 angle. If you're seeing only the anterior trabecular meshwork and the Schwalbe's line, but the PTM is not visible, it is grade 2. If you're seeing only the Schwalbe's line but no trabecular meshwork, it is 1. And if you do not see any structures, the angles are closed. This is a Schaffer's grading. There are other gradings like Spates and Shees. Okay, this is a similar. How many structures are visible? In 4, all of them are visible. In 0, none of the structures are visible. So when these angles are closed and the IOP builds up, it can lead to optic nerve damage. That is glaucoma. So glaucoma is a progressive It manifests as a structural optic disc damage. Here you can see that there's a small central cup in the center. This eye, you can see there's a large disc, okay, and the cup is very large, and the vessels are originating from the periphery. That's called the. So this is an optic nerve head cupping or glaucoma, and functioning on the visual fields or perimetry. Okay, it's a round circular cup, and the fields are normal. Whereas here, the cup is enlarged, and inferiorly, it is causing thinning of the neuroretinal rim. The peripheral pink part that you're seeing between the cup and the disc margin is called the neuroretinal rim. So there is thinning neuroretinal rim in the inferior area, which is leading to these black areas in the superior field. Inferior disc damage causes a superior field defect, okay, called a scotoma. So this is an peripheral field damage. So this is how a glaucoma patient visualizes. A normal person would visualize the center as well as the peripheral areas clearly, but the field of vision is decreased in glaucoma peripherally. Okay, he may have tunnel vision in the center. Now coming to angle closure glaucoma per se, this was just a brief introduction. Angle closure glaucoma is when your angles are closed on gonial angles may lead to glaucomatous damage. So this glaucoma could be primary. Primary is when you do not have any other secondary causes to it. Okay, it is again classified as primary angle closure suspect, primary angle closure, and primary angle closure glaucoma. And secondary, when this secondary cause leading to the closing of angles. It could be block or a non. All right. So if I were to see this image, okay, this is the angle, and if the angle shallows, it is angle closure. If there's no pushing the iris forward, it is a primary angle closure. If the lens is bulky and it pushes the iris forward and leads to synechiae, vacuoles will build up behind it and will not be able to come forward, leading to anterior bowing of the iris. Okay, that's a pupillary block, secondary angle closure. Okay, whereas if there was some tumor in the body, okay, of the ciliary body, then it will push the iris manually forward without causing any. That's called the non-pupillary block angle closure. Okay. So pupil block is generally lens induced, whereas a non-pupil because of synechiae and iris bombay, and non-pupil block is generally because of ciliary body tumors or neovascular glaucoma in the late stages. Now we talked about these three angle closure. How are they different? In primary suspect, the angles are closed on gonioscopy, but this has not caused an increase in the IOP and the disc, and only angle closed on gonioscopy with no other damage is angle closure suspect. Okay, whereas primary angle closure, angles are closed on gonioscopy and rising. Okay, the IOP is rising, but it has still not caused any disc damage or field. When this increased IOP now causes a disc and a field damage, that is called as glaucoma. Okay, for glaucoma, you need to have a structural disc damage on perimetry. So PACS, closed angles with high IOP, and PACG, closed angles, high IOP, disc damage and field damage. So what is the etiology of angle closure? So if it is a small eye and a crowded eye, the structure, the lens will be bigger as compared to other structures leading to the chamber. So that is seen in small eyes such as nanophthalmos or microphthalmos. Okay. Whereas in hypermetropia, again the eye is smaller, leading to shallowing of the anterior chamber. The general risk factors would be age. With increase in the age, the lens becomes thicker because of sclerosis and can lead to shallowing. Common in female. Type A personalities with severe disorders of anxiety. It is more common in the Asians as compared to precipitating factors or dim light or dilated drops. Why? Because once they dilate the pupil, they cause mydriasis, increases the contact between the iris and the lens, leading to a certain element of angle closure. Also, once it dilates, the crowding of the iris in the periphery. Okay, because the periphery to shallowing of the anterior chamber and closure of the. So how does an angle closure glaucoma present to you? What are the symptoms? And okay, it could be asymptomatic, wherein the shallow angles are detected on routine. All right. And these angles are detected just as the patient comes to you, see on the torchlight that the anterior chamber looks shallow. You make the patient sit on the slit lamp. It is shallow. Van Herrick's grade 1 to 2. You do a gonioscopy. You find shallow angles. Okay, so that is asymptomatic presentation. And symptomatic could be with an acute attack of angle closure glaucoma or chronic. An acute attack would come as a sudden onset pain, redness, diminution of vision. Because of the increased IOP, the patients may have headache and vomiting. Because of the corneal edema, they could have colored halos. Okay, on examination, here you can see the cornea is hazy. In the cornea is clear. In the up image, the cornea is hazy. Okay, and if you this is the corneal section, the brown is the iris section. So the anterior chamber depth is shallow. Okay. In the anterior chamber, you could also see cells and flare. The pupil generally becomes mid-dilated, ischemia. When you do pressures or tonometry, the pressures are very high, generally in the range of 30s, 40s, or 50s. The fundus, when you see, in cases of corneal edema, you might not be able to visualize the fundus. And so once the cornea clears out and you see the gonioscopy, and if you see the fundus, the disc may appear hyperemic, but the cupping may not be evident yet because the acute attack has just happened. Okay. Chronic angle closure glaucoma will just present with different. Okay. And when you see that his iris is not very regular and brown. There is loss of iris pattern. There's loss of crypt and there's loss of sphincter. Okay. So this is all iris atrophy, all the white areas that you're seeing. Okay. And on slit lamp examination in Van Herrick's, you may see that the AC might be shallow. Okay. In the anterior chamber will be clear. Okay. There wouldn't be any cells and flare. Iris, which is iris atrophy or a mid-dilated pupil. Okay. There could be anterior subcapsular cataract, which is called as glaucum flecken because of the previous attack or previous touch that might. These three features are called as the Voges triad. Okay. The sphincter atrophy leading to a dilated pupil and glaucum flecken. Okay. When you do a gonioscopy, the angles will be closed, but because of a long stem, there may be formation of anterior synechiae. Gonioscopy is visualization of the periphery, so peripheral. These synechiae are present anterior to the iris. Synechiae. Here you can see this area appears to be open. The iris in intermittent areas is bulging anteriorly towards the Schwalwe's line and form. Okay. When you see the fundus, there will be significant disc damage. And if you do a perimetry for this patient, there will be field damage. Scotomas, similar to how you see in open angle glaucoma. You can have superior arcuate, biarcuate or ring scotomas, constriction of the field, and advanced field loss. So what are the differential diagnoses of angle closure glaucoma? Okay. Primary angle closure glaucoma who comes in acute attack with pain, redness, watering, congestion. You have to rule out other causes of congestion, conjunctivitis. Okay, here you have a patient. You can see there's matting of eyelashes, there is discharge. Okay, there's discharge even on the cornea, but as appears clear edema. Okay, there's slight chemosis and how will you differentiate? You clean the eye nicely and thoroughly with saline, and all this discharge will disappear. Okay, and the cornea will be clear. Okay, and iridocyclitis, where there will be circumciliary congestion. Okay, and there may be involvement of the pupil and the cornea. So you have to see the anterior chamber reaction. However, in iridocyclitis acute presentations, the anterior chamber may not be shallow. Okay. Once the posterior synechiae forms, it can lead to complications. But in the first presentation, the anterior chamber depth should be okay in such cases. Cornea is generally clear. Secondary IOP rise. Okay. So there's a test which differentiates colored halos of conjunctivitis, cataract. What you do in that in Emslie-Fincham, you place the lens in front of the eye. The colored halos in case of conjunctivitis will disappear after you clean the eye because there is no more discharge. Okay. Whereas in glaucoma, because there's a diffuse cornea, you rotate the Emslie-Fincham, but the colored halos will persist throughout because the corneal edema is throughout. Whereas in cataract, you have few areas which are opacified, few areas of the lens are clear in immature senile cataract. So when you rotate the M-sleeve the colored and disappear in between. Okay. You also have to differentiate primary angle closure glaucoma from secondary causes of angle closure glaucoma. Now, how do you manage with such severe pain, redness, high IOP? So your immediate management control the IOP, and when it's 30s and 40s, you need to bring it down immediately. So you need to give systemic hyperosmotics. Okay. 20% mannitol that is available, which is most commonly used. Okay, you give it mannitol. You need to remember the quantity. Among oral treatment, you have acetazolamide tablets, 250 mg. It comes with. Once the pressures are slightly controlled with this, it starts to come down. Okay, and the sphincter becomes less ischemic and more responsive therapy. So the drug of choice initially used to be pilocarpine in an acute angle closure glaucoma. You need to remember 2%. Okay. So pilocarpine drops are instilled once the IOP decreases, because in a very high IOP, pilocarpine will not act on the ischemic sphincter. Intensive pilocarpine therapy, 1 drop every 15 minutes to 30 minutes hours for the pupil to constrict at the angle. So once the pupil constricts, it will pull the iris centrally and the angle will slightly open up compared to before. Timolol can also be given. Okay. Once the cornea clears, you do a gonioscopy. Okay, you will see the angles are closed, you see the fundus. And once the angles are closed, you go in for the laser procedure, which is called the laser peripheral iridotomy. Okay, you make an opening in the iris. What will that do? That aqueous behind the iris, leading to shallowing of the chamber. This will act as a direct conduit or a passage for the aqueous to come through pupillary space into the anterior chamber. Okay, so this is a link. I'll just show you the video. Let's please.
Here's something not often captured on video.
Can somebody confirm if the video is playing? Can any of you write in the chat box if the video is playing? I don't see any of you responding.
Peripheral laser iridotomy. So this is an eye with occludable angles. I'm placing a lens onto the surface of the eye.
Iris structure.
If you look here closely, you can see 2 red dots. These are the laser guiding spots.
See the iris structure. Okay, these are the crypts. All right. The depression are the crypts. So you choose an area which is thinned out so that you can make an opening. Fired, and you see the fluid is coming out here. All right. So you can see there's a gush of fluid.
All right, things are definitely starting.
The beam is present and there's fluid, that is aqueous, coming from behind along with the release of pigments. So that is a sign that your peripheral iridotomy is complete. A gush of fluid along with full thickness patency in the iris. So that's how you do a laser peripheral iridotomy. All right. So it is not just the eye which has had the angle closure glaucoma attack that you subject to peripheral iridotomy. Always make sure that you examine the other eye. Patients generally have shallow anterior chamber in both the eyes. So you see the other eye also, rule out any shallow anterior chamber, do a gonioscopy, and if the chambers are shallow, even the other eye has a predisposition to go into an attack later on. So to prevent that, you do a laser peripheral iridotomy even in the fellow. Final management is surgical management. If the IOP is not controlled, iridotomy, and the pressures still remain high and lead to damage to the optic disc, then you need to go in for a surgical treatment, that is trabeculectomy. Okay, you see this is the sclera, this is the cornea, you have the lens, all right, and these are the processes, ciliary processes. Just give me a moment. Okay, so these are the ciliary processes. This is the sclera, the cornea, the lens, processes. So this ciliary body will produce aqueous. It will go here and between the lens and the iris into the anterior chamber. Okay, the angle is closed. You create an artificial opening. So what you do is you remove a part of the sclera as a flap. Okay, this is the flap that is raised. Then create a deeper opening. You remove a block of sclera. Then the peripheral iris. You see this iris is missing here. So you remove a peripheral also. And then you stitch back the sclera and the conjunctiva over it. So what will happen now is rather than this route, okay, it will directly come from this peripheral iris opening through the scleral opening into the flap area and slowly diffuse over the conjunctival space and will get absorbed from here. Okay, so we'll just see a video of this too. How a trabeculectomy happens or works. Excuse me for the ad break. Have the downloadable videos. All right. Just listen to this carefully.
Also called filtration surgery, is a surgical procedure performed for treatments of glaucoma. The treatment is removing part of the trabecular meshwork and creating a new escape route for the aqueous humor. When successful, it allows the aqueous fluid to drain from an area underneath the conjunctiva, where it is subsequently absorbed by the body's circulatory system or filtered into tears. In this procedure, a conjunctival pocket is created and may be vancomycin or other antimetabolites for a few minutes. These drugs are used to prevent scarring of the operation site. Scarring, if it occurs, may clog the new drainage canal and is therefore the major reason the procedure may fail. Thickness in the sclera and is dissected all the way to the clear cornea. A block of scleral tissue, including part of the trabecular meshwork and Schlemm's canal, is then removed to make a hole into the anterior chamber of the eye. As the iris may plug up this hole from the inside, a piece may be removed at this time. This is called iridectomy. The scleral flap is then sutured loosely back in place. These sutures can be released gradually during a couple of weeks after surgery. This allows adjustment of the aqueous to achieve target pressure and to avoid the complication of having a too ocular pressure.
So
the
you can see the
conjunctiva
front
is
view
sewn
also
back in
as well as
place
the
to cover
side view
the
here.
area. After surgery, the aqueous humor drains into a filtering area under the conjunctiva. Since the surgery is usually performed near the top of the eye, the bleb can easily be concealed behind the upper eyelid.
All right, so that was how a trabeculectomy works. You saw the side view as well as the front view. So both views how the look like, and at the post-op period how you'll see an opening in the iris. Those of you with us, I've shown a few candidates how the opening in the iris looks like and the bleb area looks like. Okay, since I was discussing that the lens is also bulky and the lens can be pushing the iris forwards.
Your doctor recommends that it's a drainage implant.
Sorry about that. Okay, so The lens could also be bulky and might push the iris forwards. Okay, so if you remove this lens, the iris will fall back. Okay, and the angle might open up. So lens extraction can also be done to moderate angle closure glaucomas. Depends, the lens could be cataractous or clear. So the angle closure glaucoma treatment is a clear lens extraction, but that works only for early to moderate and not for advanced cases. Coming to secondary angle closure glaucoma, secondary angle closure could be, like I discussed, pupil block. So here you can see the cornea is slightly hazy. When you see this corneal beam and the iris beam, the angle between them is shallow. Van Herrick's grade 1 or 2. The pupil is mid-dilated. Okay. The lens now in this picture, you see the lens is intumescent. It is a total cataract which is white in color and there's some fluid pockets. So it is intumescent and it is pushing the lens forwards and the iris lens diaphragm forward, leading to secondary angle closure. This is called a phacomorphic glaucoma. So phacomorphic is one of the most common causes of secondary angle closure glaucoma. You can also have ciliary body tumors. Here you see this is a photo of a UBM. This is a cornea. This is the sclera. All right, this is the lens. This is the iris, the ciliary body, and the ciliary body processes attaching and ligaments attaching. Now here there's a tumor in the ciliary body. Okay, it is pushing the iris forwards. And in this picture, you can see there's something bulging from behind. Okay, this bulge that could be causing an angle closure in this particular quadrant, not 360-degree, but in the area of the pathology. Okay, sometimes the ciliary body rotates anteriorly, which is called as aqueous misdirection, leading to a malignant glaucoma or a ciliary block glaucoma. So these are the causes of where the ciliary body is pushing the iris forwards without blocking the pupil. So non-pupillary block. Okay, non-pupillary block glaucomas. Even neovascular glaucomas in the end stages can lead to angle closure. So when there's neovascularization due to causes such as diabetic retinopathies, advanced stages, or other causes of neovascularization, initially the angle will be open and you'll see blood you see in the first photo. Then it will go into a stage of secondary open angle glaucoma. And finally, there will be zipping of the angle blood and there will be fibrosis and closure, which is called as the advanced stage of closed angle neovascular glaucoma. Okay, so the take home message is whenever a patient comes to you, especially after 40s, for the anterior chamber depth, and if any patient you see has shallow anterior chamber, subject him to a slit lamp examination for Von Herrich's grading and for gonioscopy. If the angle is going for a prophylactic peripheral iridotomy, dotomy means opening. Okay, so when you're doing it with the laser iridotomy, when you do it surgically, it is ectomy, iridectomy. So here you do a laser peripheral iridotomy in the eye which presents with the symptoms or in both the eyes when it is asymptomatic. And do not forget to examine the other eye. When a patient comes to you with an attack of glaucoma, the difference between redness, watering, sudden decrease in vision would be an angle closure attack. And so you differentiate between treatment is different. Control the pressures immediately by medical management, that is 20% management. Oral acetazolamide, that is carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, pilocarpine therapy. Once the cornea clears, do a laser PI and then assess the intraocular pressures. If the intraocular okay, you keep the patient on follow-up and keep seeing his disc for any damage and do his fields for any functional damage on perimetry. If the pressures remain high, you have to take the patient for surgery, which is called as trabeculectomy. Okay, where block of the meshwork and the iris which underlies beneath it, that is an iridectomy. Okay, then you suture it back so that some amount of aqueous keeps draining through this conduit, controlling the IOP. Okay, monitoring and follow-up of such patients is important. If there's any secondary cause of glaucoma, you have to rule that out and you have to treat the cause accordingly. All right, any doubts, any of you? You can write in the chat. Any Shall we close the session? Can the class representative answer on the chat box? In exams, generally you'll be asked about glaucoma classification, attack of angle closure glaucoma, initial diagnosis of colored halos, okay, as we discussed, how to of them. In Viva, you generally asked about Emslie-Fincham test, okay, the percentages of drugs, that is mannitol, acetazolamide, pilocarpine, timolol, these percentages you need to know. You need to know about the role of PI in the other eye. You need to know what is trabeculectomy and what is the role of lens surgery in angle closure glaucoma. In your books, you might as acute angle closure glaucoma, chronic angle subacute, which is going into resolution, and chronic angle closure. So chronic angle is nothing but once the acute attack has subsided and there are iris changes and disc damage and field damage. The damage glaucoma, okay, in the fundus and even on perimetry, and the management, medical management remains almost similar. Surgical management too remains similar. All right. We'll close the session then. All right. Thank you so much for your patient hearing and for waiting another 15 minutes to join. Have a good day, all of you.